Hi everyone, this is Lara from Light Codes by Lara, the Tigers of the Light, and we are here at Healing the Collective Consciousness. This is going to be a multi-part video where we explore channeling the light codes to support us in understanding concepts which might otherwise be difficult to understand. So depending where you're at in your greater understanding of all things, in your soul's exploration of the third dimensional realm, and by the way, you could be almost like an ascended master in another lifetime and come back here and be a complete dodo because the soul wanted to experience that. This is all sort of light and fun, but also tackling some topics that aren't necessarily being talked about all that much. So if you're finding yourselves attracted to these videos, it means that you are ready, and I encourage you to stick with these and try to open your mind and open your heart to taking in this information in ways that you might not otherwise be taking it in. What can happen is we get so trained or programmed to certain topics that when you hear someone talking about something, your brain automatically goes to, oh, I know what that is, and has already formed an opinion around it. If you're watching these videos, it means that you're being guided to broaden your potential perspective, potentially bring something in a different way. What we're going to do is we're going to channel a little bit of information, and then we're going to actually draw a light code for you on my iPad Pro. If you've been in the spiritual movement long enough, most likely you will have come across. It's very popular to acknowledge our shadow self. So any of the aspects that we find less desirable, we would label then shadow energies, jealousies, angers, upsets, any of the limiting programs, any false belief systems. These are all sort of shadow aspects. We're not hopping up and down like, yay, this is something that I really want to embrace. It makes my life spectacular. It's not usually that feeling. Become popular to say, oh, I embrace all the aspects of myself. I know that I get jealous, and that's totally cool because I'm just being me and I'm being my authentic self. That's become the norm in this movement, and it's good to acknowledge these aspects of ourselves. But now it's time to let go of that immediate program of needing to embrace those aspects. Our ego, lower self energies with the dysfunction and the false belief systems and the anger and the jealousy and the upset and the anxiety and all the depression and all the rest of it. And then there's the higher self that is more of the love and light, but it's actually not like the airy fairy love and light. Is actually like, no, I know who I am, and I embrace this power that is within me and my divine right to express the love that I am. Now again, not airy fairy love that I am, I mean like power. Like the light is here. There's a difference between that sort of power and then the power that the ego seems to think that it has. Now the ego can play out in this third dimensional realm and act very powerfully. It can be all kinds of destruction. It can be some good things too, of course. And we need our ego. It's just about understanding actually where the ego fits in the entire picture of our being, and making the space for it to be where it truly belongs, where it can be honored and accepted in its fullness. What's happening is the ego comes through and is taking on too much. So between our culture, our schooling, our parents, our ancestors, all the programs that we pick up as we go about in our life, our traumas, our triggers, all the rest of it, the ego, in order to think it's surviving all this stuff, takes a whole bunch of it on, and now you get the feeling of we have the weight of the world on our shoulders. So then we get depressed, and then we get anxious, and then other things happen, and we're not digesting our food, and our lives become this slippery slope of not so much fun. And in that process, in the ego taking more and more and more space up within our being, it squeezes out the heart. It squeezes out the higher self. What the ego's job is actually to be beneath the heart. The ego is actually supposed to kneel. Both knees need to bend on the ground, kneeling to the wisdom of the heart and soul-mind connections. When the higher self is able to come through in this powerful, balanced way, the ego is relieved from all these pressures that we've inadvertently put on it, that the ego has inadvertently taken on. Now we understand the ego is supposed to actually be a servant to the heart and the higher self. And the higher self then come through more fully and completely, and the heart can lead the way, and we can manifest and live the life that we truly came here to live with all of our gifts and talents. And doesn't that sound wonderful? Well, there's a big, giant chasm, it appears, between where we are today and where we want to go. That's like a Grand Canyon. Like, how do you cross that bridge? Well, this is where we can have a light code come in to help us. So we'll channel a light code. So we have our blank slate. What we're going to be channeling is understanding what the ego's role is in our lives, what the ego is supposed to do. And let me tell you what a relief it is when we actually allow the ego to be in its rightful place. Huge relief. And this isn't diminishing the ego. This isn't punishing the ego. This is actually saying, hey ego, here you go. I'm so sorry. Here, let me take better care of you. This is what I need you to do. This is your rightful job. This is your rightful role. Thank you. So we're going to channel this code for you now. So here we go. I had to redo a bunch of those lines, and what happens when I'm channeling, usually for someone or for a collective like what we're doing right here, if I have to redraw lines and redraw lines and redraw lines, it's actually helping whoever this is drawn for. It's actually helping to smooth out those energies. So this, even just drawing the light code, is actually considered a healing. If you have a light code drawn for you, let's say you wanted to get a personalized light code from myself, if I'm having any struggle anywhere along the way of getting the line right, I've got the line, I know what it's supposed to be, but there's some sort of energies that there's a hiccup in there somewhere. There's a glitch in the giddy up. Just by smoothing that out, by drawing it and redrawing it, and that will help us to align more deeply to these light codes. The ego doesn't have nearly the job that we've given it, that there is a hierarchy. The ego is kind of at the bottom, and that's where the ego is happiest. Pile just too many things on for the ego to deal with, and we've put it above the heart. So we listen to the ego first rather than the heart, which is connected to the soul mind and the higher self. So we're getting misinformation, we're getting misguided. I really don't believe that anyone is ever off their path. So if you've been listening to your ego, most likely unintentionally for your entire life, or most of your life anyways, forming all these thought patterns, and traumas happen, belief systems are picked up along the way, and you're influenced by culture and friends and family, and we're not listening to our heart anymore. That's not to say that we're ever off our path, and everything that's happened has happened so that the soul can experience it. Your soul is now saying, let's try this order out. Let's see what happens when the ego gets relieved of these duties that we've put on it, and given its rightful duties, and then brought the heart in to say, okay, you heart, you've got the good connection. Like, let's see you drive this bus for a little while and see what happens. That's all this is. This life here in this third dimensional realm is about the soul's experience. So try not to take anything too personally, too seriously. This is like a giant playground, and we're all trying to figure it out. We're all playing and swinging and falling off things and hurting ourselves, and yeah, just play with it and have fun with it. And work with this light code, and don't forget to like and subscribe and message me. And if you're interested in any of my personal services, we do distance healing with fractal line healing, which is something that I've developed. Or if you'd like your own personalized light code or frequency picture, which is a light code that's been made more into like a piece of art. They're very beautiful. Then you can check those out as well, and we can do those for you. That's it for today. I wish you all the best. Have a most amazing, wonderful week. All blessings, lots of love.